How's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula, and welcome to another Pokemon GO video. Alright, so we got ourselves some new data mined info regarding some upcoming new features, and one of them is seemingly a mechanic that players have been wanting for the past several years. I'm of course talking about a ready button in raids so that you can skip the lobby timer and start the raid sooner. But the feature may not work exactly how players think it will. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. Okay, so before I get started, I need to preface by saying that everything that I'm going to be talking about is going to be based on data mined info. Nothing that I'll be discussing has been officially announced yet, so there is a strong possibility that certain things could be different once released. Therefore, I must urge you to take everything that I talk about with a huge grain of salt, because nothing in this video has been confirmed. Alright, now that I got that disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about this upcoming new feature. So, the good folks over at Pokeminer recently uncovered some new info regarding the next update. It looks like we will be getting a plethora of new features, which should improve the Pokemon GO experience quite a bit. One of the features that was discovered involves a new functionality that will allow you to mark yourself as ready to raid. Now, we don't have any concrete info on what this will do exactly, but it seems like it is something you can do while you are in the lobby of a raid. Now, for the past several years, many players have been asking for a feature that would allow you to skip the lobby timer of a raid if everyone in the group is ready. This would allow players to do more raids in a short period of time and would vastly improve many players' experience with raid hours and raid days. Seriously, on a given raid hour on Wednesdays, about a quarter of the time is spent just sitting in lobbies, even though it always fills up to 20 players within a few seconds. It would be a huge quality of life improvement if this sort of feature does make its way into the game, so this bit of data mined info has gotten a lot of players hopeful. It goes without saying that this sort of feature would be most welcome by the Pokemon GO community, and there is a high likelihood that this data mine feature could be just that. I think if Niantic were to implement a ready button for raids, it would stir the Pokemon GO raiding scene quite a bit. I can certainly see a lot more players being enthusiastic about Waffle Rating once again, as this was a form of gameplay that has kind of been lost over the years. In case you didn't know, Waffle Rating was a hardcore form of gameplay where you and a dedicated group of trainers would drive through a highly populated city with plenty of gyms, doing as many legendary raids as you can. If you do it correctly, you could end up doing anywhere from 50 to 100 raids. This kind of gameplay sort of fell off over the years, especially with the introduction of remote raid passes. But if they were to add some functionality that would allow you to skip the raid lobby, then I can see Waffle Rating being a thing once again. There's just such high potential with a feature like this for both Niantic and Pokemon GO players, so I'm really hoping that this data mine info is what it looks to be. Now, something that I find very interesting is that the implementation of this sort of feature would contradict what's been said in the past from Pokemon GO's game director Michael Steranka. He was fairly vocal about being hesitant adding a feature like this into the game, as there are some unspoken benefits to having a raid lobby timer. One point he brought up was that many communities meet new players by who joins in a raid lobby. If they were to add a feature that would shorten that lobby timer, then players who do not yet belong to a community might have a hard time meeting new people, as they would essentially miss out on plenty of raids that are being done by set groups. I, for one, can attest to this. The big local communities that I belong to, like DTC, I basically met them by going to a legendary raid and just hoping that the lobby would fill up. When I would arrive there, the lobby timer was still going, and I would jump in that raid and start up a conversation with the people there. Of course, one could make the argument that the raid group could back out and reform the lobby if a new player asks to join. That is certainly a possibility, but some communities are not always that friendly. I believe there are pros and cons for a feature like this, but I also think that there are alternative means for new players to find communities. If that is the only reason why a feature like this has not yet been implemented, then we are missing out on a huge quality of life improvement. Regardless, we don't even know if this is actually going to be a thing anyway. For all we know, this could just be a feature that lets everyone know that you are ready, and it does nothing for the actual lobby timer. But I don't think that's the case. Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is probably the most accurate, and the evidence seems to suggest this functionality is on the way. Now, this was of course not the only thing leaked through the data mining, and it might not be the most exciting thing. One other feature that was data mined was in regards to communication and transparency. It seems like Niantic is finally going to disclose shiny rates for Go Battle League rewards as well as field research. This could be the start of a really good thing, and a great step for Niantic to regain some goodwill with the community. Another feature is related to encountering Pokemon from spinning Pokestops. They added some code that would allow for surprise encounters when a player spins a Pokestop, and that could lead to some really cool designs and mechanics, so that is definitely something to look forward to. So yeah, plenty of good things are on the way to Pokemon Go, and I do think Niantic is taking the right steps if these data mine features pan out how players are predicting they will. And aside from what I talked about in this video, there's plenty of other features that were data mined as well, which could have huge implications for PvP and general gameplay. So I do think there is a lot to look forward to, and I really hope Niantic delivers. Now, to close this video off, let me give you my personal thoughts. I do think the game is in a place where some new features and new quality of life improvements are definitely needed. Whether or not Niantic implements these features, I would like to see positive changes at the very least. It feels like the game has kind of stagnated as of late, and the game hasn't felt fresh in a long time. I think if Niantic brings in some of these data mine features real soon, it would most certainly be a good thing for Pokemon Go. I do think we have the responsibility to keep our expectations in check, because we could end up disappointed if the features don't work like how we want them to. It's up to us to voice our desires for the game in a non-toxic manner, and it's up to Niantic to listen to that feedback. Hopefully things work out, because it could be really exciting for the game's future. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Leave your thoughts down below what you think about this data mined info. Is there anything in particular that you are most looking forward to? Let me know and let's have a great discussion. Also, don't forget that everything that I talked about in this video is not confirmed, so please take everything with a grain of salt and curb your expectations. Don't end up disappointed, but speculate and have civil discussions. And if you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list, so if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.